Thank you for listening to With Love and Chills. If you like scary stories and cautionary tales, please like and subscribe for more. My friend disappeared on the beach last night. I'm the only one who knows where she went. Written by only_part_human. This is the story of the death of my friend Marcy. I still don't know why this happened to her, and no one believes me, so I'm posting here. Hopefully this will give me clarity, but to be very honest, I don't know if that's possible. Me and my friend had spent a long, relaxing day at the beach, and by this time, many of the other beachgoers had packed up and left. For a couple hours, we had the beach all to ourselves. My friend's hand slipped under the wet sand, emerging with handfuls that fell in clumps. She gazed at the horizon and leaned forward into the light breeze that pulled the heat off of our cheeks. Well, we're both sunburnt to hell, so we should probably head home, I said, twirling a shell in my hand before setting it down beside me. She looked at me with a frown, but rose to her feet and offered me her hand. I took it, wobbling to my feet, my legs still asleep from the time spent sitting. The beach was still hot, but there was no point in filling our shoes with sand, so we just kept to the cool, wet sand near the water. My friend stared at the sun as we went. As it was inching closer to the horizon, she stared, almost locked into it. Then she tripped and fell face first on a sand mound, eating dirt. Ugh! She spattered out the sand that had filled her mouth. Giggling, I pulled her from the ground. What was that? What? I asked, still stifling a laugh. There was something in the sky. Well, all I saw is that you face planted, I said, smiling in satisfaction. I'm serious, there was something. I don't know what. She trailed off as she looked back at the sky. Well, it's gone now. Never mind. She turned, marching forward, shoving her hands into her pockets as she went. I glanced back, scanning the waves. Nothing but blue stretched in front of me. The tide was rising, though, so I raced to catch up with her. I knew it was a long walk back, but in the waning light, the walk seemed unending. It wasn't even that hot, but I was sweating profusely, and I was unsteady in the shifting sand. I started feeling dizzy, the sand glimmering in front of me. The intense sunburn was getting to me. I gazed down at my feet, taking every step with ample precaution. I was so focused on not falling over that I didn't notice my friend had completely disappeared. I could only assume she was playing a prank on me. Marcy, I'm kinda dizzy. Can we not do this now? No answer. A tinge of frustration rose inside me. Marcy, can we please just go to the car? More silence, followed by the crash of waves. I rubbed my hands together in worry and cracked my knuckles. Where the hell are you? I muttered, glancing anxiously across the beach. It was entirely empty. My breath whistled in and out in panic, and I closed my eyes. I had to control my breathing. 1, 2, 3, 4, breathe in. 5, 6, 7, 8, breathe out. I opened my eyes. Walking out past a cluster of bushes, I scanned for Marcy's bright carrot hair. There it was, shifting behind a mound of sand. Marcy! Shit, you scared me! I tumbled up the hill, still amused despite the mild panic, only to find her buried in the sand. Her face was only a few inches above the surface, her eyes pleading, but her mouth was sealed shut. OMG, Marcy, what happened? Please get me out, she pleaded, bits of sand tumbling into her mouth. She spat and promptly shut it, Sand danced around her nostrils, moved by her shaky breath. I kneeled down and pulled the sand away from her face, wincing as it scraped my knees. "Jesus, Marcy, how'd you bury yourself like this?" She only whimpered, closing her eyes and shaking her head slightly. I removed as much sand from around her face as I could before I started digging for her arms. I shoveled deep into the sand where her left arm would be, only to find there was nothing underneath. Nothing more but sand. Sand that was warm, even hot. Marcy wasn't buried in the sand laying down. She was standing. Her feet must have been 5 feet deep by that point. Marcy garbled out a yell. My gaze shifted, locking with hers. As her face sunk even deeper into the sand, I scrambled, pulling sand away from her face as fast as I could. But she just kept sinking. Panicked whimpers from her closed lips being deadened by the shifting sand. In less than a second, her face was completely covered. The dust flying up with the last of her short exhales. My hands flew over the area, flinging piles and piles of sand from the place where she disappeared. I uncovered strands of fire-red hair, only for them to sink even deeper down. My heart leapt in and out of my chest, sand stung in my eyes and even buried into my cuticles. It burned like fire, but I couldn't stop. I was digging like an animal, sweating and hyperventilating. The sand was getting hotter. The sun was undoubtedly setting, but the sand was getting hotter. I stood up to see my knees and hands badly burned, covered in leaking pustules and even a little bit of blood. Why was the sand so goddamn hot? I stumbled back a few feet, landing on cool, soft sand. My body buckled and I sunk into the ground. Tears welled in my eyes and my hands shook. It felt like an awful dream, and I just wanted to wake up. What was this beach? I stared at my friend's grave, a circle of sand still moving slightly where her head had been. Steam was rising faintly from the mound. Marcy was certainly dead by now. My head was spinning. I had to get home. I had to scream for help, but I couldn't do anything. I closed my eyes, feeling the cool of the sand under my body. It hurt to move, so I didn't. I probably lay there passed out for hours before they found me. I woke up in the hospital, burns on my arms and legs, not near as bad as I assumed the night before. Her parents were asking me questions, but I couldn't answer any of them. God only knows what I'll tell the police. They said they hadn't found her. I believed them. I can't find any natural way to explain my friend sinking into the goddamn earth, but I do know one thing. She is likely never coming back.